I'm Amy. I'm going to be your guys' moderator today. While Geri's talking, I'm going to be going ahead and taking notes as well. Shannon, one of my colleagues here, also volunteer with Liberate Artists, will be sending up all the follow-up information. I think she's been contacting some of you already. So all that's great. As questions come in, Geri, would you like me to ask, or do you just want to keep an eye on the chat yourself?
Can we kind of just play it and see if I'm missing something? You can just let me know.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm going to try to let you guys know when we're close on time. The next class is a dance class for those of you who are interested. Otherwise, we can maybe stay a little bit longer depending on how the conversation is going. But we do know that timing is very important, and we're all very respectful of your schedule. So if you're having any tech issues, try logging out and logging back in. There are no passwords now. This probably is, second nature to you guys by now, but a lot of the times the kids are like, oh, the video stopped working. Oh, it's fine on my screen. If you have any opportunity or any resources or even just personal, time, anything that you can donate, if you're able to donate, you can do that on our website. Otherwise, if you can tag us or just keep spreading the word about Liberate, that's so important to us. We so appreciate you being here with us today, and we know that we support you, and we hope that you are supporting us in the movement that we're doing here today too. And yeah, anything else to add there, Geri? Did I miss?
Oh, I think you did great. Thank you so much, Amy. Amy is one of our volunteers. We had 96 people register to volunteer and 36 volunteer. I am sure you guys all know how that feels at some point. And Amy has been so crucial to this work that we've been doing, Shannon and Kristen. And thank you for being here. For those of you that are just coming in, I'm Geri. I'm the CEO and founder of Liberate Artists. Welcome. I hope you've had a wonderful week at Forward Movement. So I am going to talk about who we are and how kind of we originated. And just the whole point of this is actionable steps. That's the whole point of Forward Movement, and so we will conclude there. So at Liberate Artists, we believe and practice that every dancer deserves the equal opportunity for education, regardless of their skin color, gender, background, religion, size, or economic freedom. Arts education is for all. Dance education is for all. And that's the reason why we run this organization. And it's because of my story. So my mom's actually on the call. You can say hi to my mom, Dee Brown. My mom and my grandma were both dancers on Broadway. My grandma was on Broadway, Geraldine Perliman, during segregation, and she fought for representation in an industry that didn't hold space for her. While my mom, Dee Bryan, trailblazed to Broadway and film when she was told she was too light to be Black and too Black to be white. She entered the audition room exuding so much talent and determination that several writers rewrote roles specifically for her. With my family lineage of fighting for equity and equality in arts education and in the arts, Liberate Artists is a result of my DNA. I think it's really interesting, and I mentioned this yesterday with the parents, but my grandmother and my mother were really exceptionally talented at what they did, so they were able to break barriers. But in education, every student, the way they show up deserves that equal representation and equal access. They don't have to be the best in the room, and they shouldn't have to be the best in the room to be seen and heard. So my mom's story and our family story is really special because they were so exceptionally talented. But who defines talent in education? Because I think we're all supposed to be learning here. And B, when everybody's paying the same kind of rate to be in the spaces, why aren't we all being treated equally? So moving on. My story, I faced something similar. And for those of you that were in the chat yesterday, I got a little bit emotional talking about this. Usually when I can set up my bears, thank you, Antonella. Usually when I know I'm gonna talk about it, I don't get as emotional about it, but I am still dealing with the trauma from this. So I'm just going to share with you because I think in order to understand where we're at Liberate Artists, you have to understand where I'm from and what I have experienced. So I grew up in a small town in PA, and it was like the picture perfect of suburban America. I loved it until high school. At high school, I was an exceptional kid, but I was ignored. I was creating programming for students. Like for instance, when I was 16, I started an organization called Stars of Tomorrow Cabaret. And what we did is we raised money for a student whose sister died in a car crash, and then she got diagnosed with leukemia. And one night at the age of 16, I raised $16,000 to cover her medical expenses. And I put it right into her account because CHOP, my mom just told me this, I didn't remember, because CHOP wanted me to donate to CHOP, but I wanted to pay her expenses. Not one teacher said I did a good job. No one gave me any acknowledgement. No one recognized me. No adults other than my mother had said that this wasn't anything other than I was supposed to do. Like, of course you're supposed to raise $16,000 as a 16-year-old for this student. Like, nobody acknowledged me, to the point where I skipped around 85 days of school my senior year and nobody noticed. Nobody said anything. I almost didn't graduate because of that. And like I started going back to school just to like get out of there. I did graduate, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be fine. Like, these people just don't understand me because I'm an artist. I'm going to go to New York City and get my BFA in musical theater. And then I went to New York, and at my program, I experienced so much racism. I was told by so many professors that they didn't know what to do with me. I became extremely depressed for 4 years. Meanwhile, at the same time, I was working in college. I was a part of Actors Equity. I was performing off Broadway. I got reviews by the New York Times, and still felt like I wasn't enough due to the feedback that I was getting from a majority of my professors who were limited in their perspective of working with students who didn't fit their mold of what they thought a Black artist should be. When I graduated college, I felt like I wasn't enough, even though I was working and had an agent and my equity card. So I tried to kill myself. This is what racism does to people. This is what racism and otherism does to kids when they are feeling like they're less than because of their race, gender, body type, ability level, economic level of freedom. It causes stress, which leads to mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, and in my case, attempted suicide. That is why we are here. This othering of children, especially in education of any kind, is neglect. When teachers ignore or make children feel less than, it is neglectful. I just want to say that again, it's neglect. That's why we have to do this work. My mom saved my life, and with lots of therapy, I picked myself back up. I started a few companies before landing on Liberate Artists, and Liberate Artists is the organization that little Geri wishes she had. It's a safe space where kids feel welcomed and embraced just as they are. And if you've been talking to your students who've been taking classes, like, I hope that's the feedback that you've been getting. I know personally how damaging this othering can be. And so we work hard to ensure no kids feel less than, because I have a secret for you. They never were. They were always enough, exactly as they are in the skin they are in. Liberate Artists made me the person I am today, because you can only go around saying you are enough to kids so many times before you start believing it yourself. And being in service and being there for these dancers reminded me that each of us can do the work to ensure that dance education is for all. So we're gonna move forward today. We're gonna move forward. Don't you like that wave? Hi, Brooke. So nice for you to be here. I just wanted to give you some context. So this work is essentially my life's work, and I'm so excited to share with you all that we're doing and all that we're going to be doing. I'm going to talk with you about who we are at Liberate, what we're doing to create safe and inclusive educational spaces. We are not a utopia. We are forever moving forward to be as inclusive as possible. And what you can do in your own studio and dance communities to ensure that you are creating arts education spaces that are inclusive and equitable for all students. So let's share the screen. I want to show you about Liberate just through our websites, because I think the visual graphics really do a good job of explaining us. So before I do that, I'm going to say we're an inclusive dance education movement. Our rallying cry is "You are enough." We say that so many times to the kids. And our faculty is super special. So I'm going to share my screen. No. As you can see, we have a very colorful faculty. And all of these teachers are faculty that we always work with. There's like maybe one that's new, Ramita. And I like the word colorful as opposed to diversity, because diversity comes with the connotation of, once we hit this many people of this type, we've done it. We've solved racism and we're equitable. And I'm like, no, we should always be working to creating more inclusive spaces. And so we are doing the work with this, and also a kind of acknowledging our limitations, because we are not inclusive for dancers with special needs and dancers that are deaf and hard of hearing. So we brought on Geri Majewski earlier this week, and we will be presenting that material once we send out all the videos. But she created a floor where you can actually, as a person, feel it through the vibrations between the floorboard. So dancers that are deaf and hard of hearing can participate in classes with like the general pop of students. I think that when we teach kids empathy by experiencing people that are different than them, we teach them compassion, so that when they can be there and support kids when they're being othered. And so I'm really here for, it is the coolest invention ever. Yes, I agree. And what's really cool about it is like integrated learning. Like, why are we saying, if this kid is saying, hey, no, I can be in this space, why are we saying, no, we must protect you and put you in this special room for kids with special needs? Now, there are kids that need additional work, right? There are kids that do, but we have kids that are, you know, have autism and that are in different categories that I don't even know about. And their parents come up to me afterwards and are like, just so you know. I'm like, okay, cool. I hope, like, let me know if you need me to support them more, because it didn't matter to us. We treat everybody the same. And that's, no worries, Vash. Thank you for letting me know. And that's the kind of work that we do at Liberate Artists. We also award over $500,000 per year out of our profits. We're a very small organization. I'm about to show you how small in a minute. But I will talk a little bit more about why that is the case. We are a complement to the traditional dance convention and competition world. And we say complement because right now that world is not equitable and therefore cannot be inclusive. And I'm saying this out of place of compassion, because I do believe that these spaces could be fantastic. What we do as educators and as artists, I mean, art teaches compassion, art changes the world, and these spaces could be wonderful. I just believe they don't know how. And all of this is always coming from compassion, because I'm not a big fan of call out culture. Well, I won't say that. I'm not a big fan of doxing people. I think it's important when people are feeling like their boundaries or needs are not met, which we talked about a lot yesterday, for them to advocate for themselves. But I think we need to all come from a place of healing, because I know as a Black human, I have a lot of trauma surrounding this. And I understand why we want to be angry, because we are, but we are not going to be equitable and inclusive if we don't try to see each other where we're at and then learn and grow from each other. And so that's kind of how all of this work is set up. It's through compassion. Okay, so let's just talk about why specifically I'm saying that these spaces are not equitable and inclusive. So number one, there are economic barriers to access that leave kids out, making inclusivity not possible. So think about a competition. In order to win, you must have X amount of training hours per week, more training hours, better dancer, that's money. A nice costume, that's money. Registration fees, that's money. How can you actually adjudicate a dancer whose family can only afford 3 hours, 3 classes a week, against a dancer who is homeschooled and can afford 20 classes, 20 hours per week in the same age group? Then in convention and through social media sites, their environments are monolithic, meaning all kids look pretty much the same. So dance education spaces are signaling to these students who are different. And I'm not just talking about race, I'm talking about ability level, body type. When we're saying inclusive, we're talking about all of these things, gender, that they don't belong because they are not represented in the faculty, on the website, in classes, through social media, and won't have an equal shot to winning because they can't afford to compete in an equitable manner. Or the style of dance in which they are competing does not meet the Eurocentric standards of good dancing, i.e. hip hop and tap, which we've talked about all week, are both styles of dance that originate through enslaved Africans and Black culture. There's a reason why those styles of dance aren't considered good, or you have to have training and have technique in order to do them. Yes, you do. In order to tap dance, you must have technique. In order to do hip hop in the way that it was intended, you must have technique. Like, again, like I said, this is not just race. I'm talking about body types, genders, ability levels. Something else that they're signaling by posting just the best kids, which I still don't know what that means in education, is that all kids of different ability levels don't matter. Why can't we be proud of a single pirouette? What is wrong with that? I'm like, you got that single pirouette? Yes. And you land and you're like, and what? And I'm like, and yes, that is the way. Like, why are we not celebrating kids where they're at? That's beautiful. That is why we are a complement to that, because as I'm about to share with you, we are a completely different setup. So first, we start by breaking the economic barriers to access to ensure that all students can participate. And then we work each day to be more equitable and inclusive. That's the problem, what I just shared about the convention and competition world. This is our solution. I've talked a lot about not being an expert. I don't believe there is a such thing as an expert. I think we all have more information or less information. And with whatever information we have, we make the best decisions possible. And so this is what we do at Liberate Artists. And this is what we've done to ensure that our spaces are equitable and inclusive. So like I said, we award over $500,000. Oh my gosh, let me check the comments. Leslie, same with me with studio. Oh, sorry, totally agree. Right, because I suck at hip hop. Okay, Vash, yes, we are where we are. My mom never let me take hip hop as a kid because she's like, oh, because of the stereotype, because it was like, oh, you're Black, oh, you do hip hop. My mom danced at DTH. She's like, oh, you're going to be in ballet class, because I want them to see that Black people can do lots of different things. Because when I went to school, to dance school, that was when hip hop just started coming into studios in my area. And so now I think she would have a different perspective, obviously, but we're always trying to defeat the stereotypes that are kind of put on us as people that have been othered. Your energy is immaculate, makes me so happy. I'm so happy, Monica, that you're happy. I don't know where you went. Okay, I love your hair. It's so adorable. I love you so much. Okay, cool. I really am passionate about this because if I had this, I might not have tried to kill myself. Like, I know that sounds like so graphic, but like, this matters so much to students. All right, so let's talk about this. At Liberate, and I'm gonna show you my video again, but we do pre-event scholarships for all of our dance events. So kids can have an opportunity to come and have assistance. All of our kids, and I wanna say this, most of the families are on scholarships of some kind. When a dancer registers not on scholarship, we hit them up and say, hey, you can register, you can submit a tape for a scholarship, just so they have that opportunity if they want to. We have flexible payment plans. Everybody can start on a 10-month payment plan, 10-month long. And if the family is having any needs or needs assistance, and they're like, hey, gee, like we can't afford this month. I'm like, what do you need? How can we assist you? How can we make this equitable for you? What does your family specifically need? We only do effort-based scholarships, not talent-based scholarships, because not all of these dancers, not all of your students are going to be professional dancers, but they must be good humans in society. We want kind people who care about each other, not people that can do 17 pirouettes and are not putting out the energy in the world that everybody matters. And so if you show up for us, we will show up for you. That's kind of our effort-based scholarships. Like, be kind to one another. We're watching you in class. How do you treat your fellow students? When you're doing your dance, are you really trying hard? Are you really doing your best? And you, as an educator, you know that when a kid is like doing their best and trying their hardest, and when they're just like, You know, we can read that body energy. And so that's how we award scholarships. And then the last thing that we do at Liberate is we know every student's name in all of our classes. I don't know if Brooke and Kristen are on right now, but I think they can both signify to that. I know every dancer that walks through our doors. And if you come and hang out with us next summer, you'll see that. I'm like, oh, okay, da da da. And they're like, Geri, how do you do that? I'm like, because it matters, because I might be the only person that they don't know in a dance space that actually took the time to learn their name and who they are and what styles of dance they like, and stalk them on Instagram and comment that they're amazing. Like, if you look through all of our comments, you'll see that. This is the work that organizations want to do. Bosh, I'm going to pick up what you said. Sam, I went to a Caucasian dance studio, so I don't know true hip hop until I was like 20. I love you, Geri. I love you, Bosh. Thank you for all of your time and donating. Thank you. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you about Phoenix Fire. I'm going to show you about Focus, Forward Movement, Always Enough Foundation, Dance Education Equity Association, the work I'm doing in public schools. I'm going to talk about what you can do, and then I'm going to open up the door for questions. But I guess I can open up now if anybody has any. I feel like I'm on fire. I haven't even had coffee this morning. I'm like, yes, dance, dance, dance. You're like, I don't want to see you on coffee. All right, I'm going to show you this video then about Phoenix Fire. Now, it's really funny because Phoenix Fire is not in Phoenix, Arizona. I really love Harry Potter, like super much. And and so that's why it was called Phoenix Fire. But also, we call the kids that attend Phoenix Fire prodigies because they overcome adversity in order and rise from the flames of life in order to be there. Phoenix Fire is our New York City dance I say dance convention because that's the term people use, but we like to say dance experience because that's what it really is. At Phoenix Fire, we have dancers from all over the world. And what we do is I write an original Broadway style type show, and the kids learn it in 3 days because we're teaching them mindfulness and we're teaching them being in the moment and fighting against this perfectionism that kids have. Because I actually love competition and convention. If it was equitable and inclusive, I would love it. But the issues with that and what we need is to complement that is situations where kids have to show up where they're at and not have time to really prepare and be like, okay, this isn't perfect, but this is where I'm at. And that's enough. And I'm always enough. Whether I get that double pirouette or whether I do that single, which Geri is clapping at really loudly. She really loves single pirouettes. That's why we love this program. It has 3 kind of different levels, and we don't really call them levels because, again, if you want to be in any of these classes, all you have to do is say that you want that, because that's the first step. It's not about who's the best. It's about what commitment level you want to have. See, I say you are enough all the time. This is such a lie because of COVID. Bye, COVID. Go away. But we have Spark, Ignite, and Blaze. We have wonderful teachers for Phoenix Fire. But for Phoenix Fire, it's really about acknowledging students as they are in the skin and the body they're in. Next up, we have Focus. It's our Los Angeles intensive where we actually hire recording artists and shoot a music video. I think it's really important to teach young kids how to be in a professional environment, but in a safe way. And so what's really cool is we'll be bringing back Lauren Froderman again, but you can see all the different colors of kids that we have in our group, and it's because that's how we're signaling. But Focus is super, super fun. It's in Los Angeles. Of course, I come in when the video is ending. Let me try that again. It's in Los Angeles, and again, it's a more select group of kids that like might want to do this professionally or want to experience what it's like to do commercial dance in LA. And I think, honestly, for us, by providing both of these different opportunities, it's like we're meeting you where you're at. What do you need? What do you want as a student? And here are some opportunities that we have for you. A lot of kids fit in the Phoenix Fire realm. And then we only usually have like 50 to 100 kids at Focus. So it is, as you know, very small and very intimate, which we really love. This is Presley. She was on the TV show The Voice. Team Kelly Clarkson. Yeah, I love Kelly Clarkson. Okay, I want to tell you about our other experiences that we do. Like, you are here at Forward Movement. This is our first time doing it. We had over 900 registrants from all around the world, which is super exciting. And It's really great because it really meets to our message of ensuring that dance is for all. And then the newest thing that I want to talk to you about is the Always Enough Foundation. So like I said, we award over $500,000 in scholarships a year. Great, that's awesome. But here's the problem with that. When you are giving a family that needs additional economic assistance a full tuition scholarship to a dance convention in another city or state and not providing them with travel, accommodations, and meals, what are you saying to them? Here's this is so cool. Okay, I really want to get this for my kid, but I mean, how am I going to pay for my groceries this week or their college tuition because I'm going to your event? So the Always Enough Foundation, what we're going to do and what we are doing is we are going to be providing to start full tuition scholarships to our event, accommodations at the hotel, and a meal stipend. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is all of that, plus travel for their entire family. Stage 3 is all of that, plus we will be paying for their tuition at their home studio for up to 4 years, because we don't want you to come to our events and feel like you're less than, because you're not. All of this is completely anonymous to remove any implicit bias. We don't need to, like, when you are saying, look at my scholarship winner who doesn't have the money to attend this, that is performative action. We want direct action, because these kids don't need to feel like they're a special case and they need special treatment just because they couldn't afford to attend that. That's not their fault. They're kids. Let's let them be kids. Stage 5, we will then, once we're doing all of those things, we will then pay to let them go to other dance conventions and competitions that meet our standards for equity and inclusivity. And I'm gonna let you know right now, there's only one right now, and it's run by a Black woman, and her name is Danielle, and she runs Activate Your Artistry. She's our only dance convention sponsor, and we got a bunch of people hit us up for that. And we were like, I'm sorry, you don't meet our standards for equity and inclusivity. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. Amy is actually gonna be part of our Always Enough Foundation. She's gonna be part of our executive team. And I'm really excited about this work, because this is what organizations need to do. And we are a baby company. We are 5 years old with 2 events. I know there are some out there with 30 events that are doing huge events with thousands of people. And I'm like, all you can say is what you're gonna do is find Black studio owners and give them full tuition scholarships. So you're gonna Carmen Sandiego them. You're gonna say, where in the world are Black studio owners? That's what you're gonna do, right? And then you're gonna dangle this in front of them, and their kids might not be able to afford it. And so you're saying, here's another example of why you don't deserve to be here, because now that you have this opportunity, you actually can't afford it. So you actually don't belong here. And then when you come into my space, you're not gonna see anybody like you. And they have more training than you because they can afford that. So we have to be very, very careful about how we're providing assistance for students. We have to be very intentional and really think it through in a way that's equitable and inclusive. And I'm actually really angry. Everybody I've been talking to, I've been angry about this, because I'm like, why does it have to be Liberate that's doing this work when we're not industry leaders? Like, we're babies. But then I ask, are you really industry leaders if you're no longer leading? So I guess we are. I'm not an expert still, though. I'm still saying that. I'm not an expert. We're just doing what we can to be equitable and inclusive. So that leads to the Dance Education Equity Association. So what we've been doing in this work with our accessibility committee is we've been researching pretty much every dance competition and convention and getting the data from their sites and their websites, the locations they go to, the visibility they have on their websites, who they're showing, and we're gonna provide back to them what we see as outsiders, so they can start making these changes. And with the Dance Education Equity Association, what we're going to be doing is, do you guys know about intimacy trainers on sets after Me Too? Do you know what that kind of is? So essentially, just for those that don't know, what happened was after Me Too, SAG-AFTRA basically instituted this policy where in order to do intimacy on set, you must have an intimacy trainer. So we're doing the same thing in dance conventions and competitions. We are going to be providing facilitators for these dance competition conventions to ensure that they're equitable and inclusive for all. And can you turn this off for a minute, because I don't want this to be on recording? Thank you for being so best. Let me see what we got here. This is everything I believe in and so many of our community believes in. but not the dominant narrative. So refreshing. Well, thank you for saying that, Miss Angelina. Yes, you're on fire. Thank you. Olivia, love this platform. Big comes for Indonesia. Thank you so much. That is so sad. I agree, Lindsay. So what I was saying is we're bringing Liberate Artists into public schools. So I created this program called Download, and the kids arrive to school one day and all their teachers are gone and they're replaced with these actors. And it teaches like anti-racist behavior. So they're basically put into groups based on their style of learning, visual, auditory, reading, or kinesthetic. And they must solve problems as a collective group to learn how to create critical thinking patterns. So they learn how to question things, learn anti-racist behavior. Like there's this one challenge essentially where they have to either give the next question, the question that they got right to the group that got it wrong, or they'll be able to advance 5 levels. And what we've seen is that we emulate what others do. So another group is going to be required to do that. And when they start sharing, we're teaching that empathy training by emulation. Because, oh wait, this group did it. Oh, that's probably the right thing to do. It doesn't matter that I'd move 5 steps up. Like I got to do the right thing for the group as a collective, as a whole. And we're going to be actually using celebrities in Hollywood to back this up. So it's like all on a digital platform. They have this iPad and they're like, okay, your challenge is, and we'll have like really cool people. I really want Brie Larson. Hey, Brie Larson, if you see this, like be a part of this. You'd be so dope. Because why we work with celebrity teachers in the first place is because it's really amazing when a teacher says you are enough. When Comfort Fidoki or Lauren Froderman says it, it means it just reinforces the message in a way. And it's really exciting. So that's our only, honestly, well, Lauren and Comfort are part of our family, so I won't say that. But our only purpose for working with people that are big names is that they reinforce our message. That's it. Like, I'm like, if you're not providing the support for students, then it doesn't matter. Lou, what about makeup and hairstyle training? Yes, Lou, that will be totally a part of that. Totally a part of that. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. Does anybody have any questions about this? Because I just was like, blah. I just love talking with people, with people. I hope I'm talking with you. Anybody have any questions about anything? It's okay. I'm going to share all of this with you later.
I just want to say this is brilliant. Like, I work in a small rural community and we started off really small. I'm gonna cry because it's so dear to my heart because I want all kids to be able to dance. And so this is so cool and I'm so glad to be a part of this. So sorry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And we snap when we share. I think we did that a lot yesterday because you are seen, you are heard. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for ensuring that dance is equitable and for all students. This is all of the work we all must do. This is not something that I'm leading, whatever. Like, this is all of us. I'm just sharing the information with you. You know, it's all of us collectively will make this change. Okay, so let's talk about you. Let's talk about what you can do in your community. First, I want to talk about master classes, which we've all heard by now. But I think it's super important not to just bring in people of color, but make it part of an assignment through history. I think that we can only create anti-racist communities through empathy and history. And honestly, critical thinking. Those 3 things is what I would say. And so when you're bringing in one of these master teachers, it's super important to be like, hey, did you know about who this person is? Or can we do a research report beforehand about this teacher? And let's all share one fact about them before they come in. I also think, kind of like what I said when we were offline, is that we need to redefine the teachers that are celebrity teachers at our studios and get our kids excited about exceptional educators instead of people that just have a lot of followers on Instagram and YouTube. Jamal's story, I don't know if you got to take class with him. He is one of the best educators that I know. He is also one of the only dancers that I know that has worked in every single medium of dance. He has danced with Cher. He's currently dancing with Cher and Madonna. He's been on Broadway in Motown and Color Purple, and he's danced with Complexions and all these other concert dance organizations. Why don't we know his name? Why do we know other names just because they have so many social media followers? What does social media followers mean? I don't know. I'm like, listen, if that's what it took to get a teaching degree, I think all of y'all would be like, yo, social media is hard, okay? That's what I'm saying. Please comment and like and follow us, all right? It's hard. But we have to redefine. Jamal is so great, Vesna. Yes, so great. Marty, same way. Leslie, can you comment on that?
Yeah, Marty Kaduka, whenever he is doing teacher classes, he always talks about the fact that social media is not what makes you a teacher or a choreographer. How you define yourself and break things down and make dancers feel like dancers, that's what makes you a dance teacher.
Yes, snaps for you. Thank you, Leslie, for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome.
100% right. 100% right. And he is one of our legends. I mean, he is a wonderful teacher, choreographer, educator. So thank you for that. So yeah, it's super important. And then also when you bring these educators in, like, let's have conversations about overcoming obstacles, because these people that we're changing the narrative about what makes an educator an educator, we need to know their story. Because when you have kids, because your spaces are now going to be more inclusive, you're going to have kids that are going to be going through these struggles. And so you need to be able to show them, hey, there's another side to this. This is what you can do. And you can only do what's possible when you know what's possible. If you don't know, how are you going to ever break any expectations? So that's why this is so crucial and important. Also for white students, I think it's really important for them to see, like, hey, like, Black people, or if I have an experience with Black people, or people from Japan, or people from France, like, I'm talking about different people, colorful people, dancers in wheelchairs. Like, I'm not specifically just talking about Black people. I'm talking about inclusive educators. When we are teaching students and bringing them with other people that have been othered, we're also teaching them empathy. And we're also teaching them to idolize and look up to, I don't really like idolize, look up to people that are doing the work to ensure that dance is for all, so that they can take that with them and whatever spaces they are in. All right, I'm gonna kind of go through this list a little bit because I want to open up for conversation. Empathy-based movement training and classes. This is really, really interesting. Harvard did a study on this, but essentially the dancer can't use, you split the group in half. Half of the group can't use their arms and legs, and they have to do the same movement as the group that can use all of their limbs. Then let's talk about it and switch. How did you feel being asked to do the same thing as your peers, but you didn't have the same access? What was that like? Okay, now how do you think a Black person, or how do you think a person in a wheelchair, or how do you think a person who has a different body type, I won't say that because that's silly. Like, what is the ideal dance body type? That's just silly. There's no such thing. Sorry. But how do you think a person might feel that might want to be in point, but they're, male presenting and they don't have the same access? Like, explaining to kids that it's an access issue and an opportunity issue. And it's not that people of color don't want the same opportunities. We're fighting because it's not equitable, because we don't have all of our limbs, just like you felt in that exercise. Does that make sense? Great. Something else to incorporate: teaching students to become self-advocates. I talked a lot about this yesterday. Like, empower students and create spaces at the beginning of the year when you are setting the boundaries for the school year that says, hey, if you ever feel uncomfortable, you can talk to us about it. Going with that, every studio should have an anonymous tip line for any inappropriate behavior, whether that's racism or inappropriate behavior with students. And when things don't go the way we think they do, we must practice restorative justice. When harm is caused by you or a faculty member, we must acknowledge the mistakes, talk with the student and or parent, and ask them what they need to ensure that your space is equitable for them, and then listen. just listen. And I know, because we love our students and we want to do the best for them, that sometimes when we're called out in a way, even if it's from compassion, we take it personally because we love what we do so much. But in order for us to create spaces safe for all, we must understand our own implicit biases. And the only way we can do that is when the people that we are, hurting, are able to speak up and talk about it, and we can provide healing to them in a way that they need. So if somebody, for instance, we say that we all must wear pink tights, and a student of color is saying, hey, pink tights make me feel uncomfortable. Oh, I am so sorry. What can we do to allow you to feel more equitable? What can we do? So I would first do my research before I would talk to the kids and the parents, because you are the educator, and if you don't know, we ask them. But like, hey, how about we bring tights of all colors in? How does that feel? Would that make you feel better as a student? Because we want you to feel safe here and inclusive here. Does that solve this? Or if it doesn't, please give me other suggestions, and then listen. Another thing is, this is really cool, provide scholarships for families in need, self-funded by parents, which is something really cool. So there's a lot of parents at the studio. I saw this with a studio on Long Island that are financially stable and would pay extra tuition in order to cover students that don't have the funds to do so. And this is something we can all institute into our studios. I'm talking like I'm a studio owner. I am not. But this is something we can institute into all of our dance spaces. At Liberate, we say half of the kids that come to our spaces are kids we support. Half of the kids are kids that support us. And I feel like all of the dance spaces should kind of think that way. Like, okay, can every parent donate an additional $5 a month to support a student? Now, again, this should be completely anonymous. Nobody needs to know who this student is. We have to be very careful about that. We don't want that child to feel like, oh, they need special help. They don't. They just need financial assistance. That's it. Offer free classes in areas close to yours that don't have much access. Actually, Brooke and Kristen, I know somebody asked about with their talk, I don't know who it was, about like, what are you doing to make sure that BIPOCs are taken care of in your dance spaces. Do you guys remember that talk when they were talking about pivoting? Was anybody in that room during that time? They actually do this work. And here's the thing, like, and I realized I wasn't trying to not have that conversation, but they actually go into areas that don't financially have the funds to take classes, and they give free classes to those students. So that's what they do in their studio. So if anybody was asking that before, that's what the work that they're doing. Again, we can all be more equitable and inclusive, but I think that is a really great way to start. Change up your social media and on your website to make sure that it's not monolithic and you're highlighting all students. Read A Letter to White Women Who Keep Asking What to Do to Combat Racism from a Black Woman. It is long. You're gonna need like maybe a mojito. I don't drink mojitos. A rosé, or I was gonna say a Chipotle. Maybe I'm hungry. That's not a drink. But I wrote this because after George Floyd was murdered, I was feeling really helpless. And when I am frustrated, I created that's why this whole event happened, because I was really upset about the responses from our industry leaders on how we are going to be more equitable and inclusive. So I'm going to send that out to you after this, but it's really lays out some key points that I think are helpful. And then the last thing that I'm going to say, and this is really a call to action on our behalf at Liberate, support organizations that support you. If your kids are coming back from these experiences and dance education opportunities feeling less than always, why are you supporting them still? Who, like industry leaders, that whole term that I just said earlier, like, are they still industry leaders if they are no longer leading? If you have a huge organization and you're still the solution to your problem, are you snapping, Lou? And the solution to your problem, like I said, is finding Black studio owners and giving them scholarships, or just posting photos of Black people on your social media saying, look at this Black dancer. That is not enough. Yeah, I know, maybe a little, like I'm tired, but I'm not too tired to ever throw shade. But it comes from a place of compassion, because here's the thing, like I believe that people want to do better, they just don't know how. It's not from a place of anger or hate, it's from a place of compassion. Because again, the students that we have now are going to be the future doctors, lawyers, and police officers. And if we don't teach them to be anti-racist and be there for every student, no matter their skin color, ability level, body type, then what are we doing to ensure that people like George Floyd don't get murdered because of the color of their skin? That's the work we're doing as educators. That's what we're teaching white students, Black students, Asian students, Indigenous students. That's why this matters. So when you're supporting an organization financially that doesn't support all students, you're saying that it is okay for them not to support all students. It is okay for the students that attend those events to leave and feel less than. It is okay for you to only call out the names of students who have personally worked with you and ignore everybody else. And is that why we're educators? That's not why I'm an educator. Like I said, at Liberate Artists, half of the students we support, half of the students support us. We have no backing whatsoever, like a lot of Black-run organizations. And so we rely specifically on the support of registrations. So when Amy said that earlier, we're asking you to share our message, because you are here, you showed up today. This is your message too. Register, choose to come to our events, register as a studio. We have amazing teachers, and we're building anti-racist communities and inclusive communities. And donate if you can, or your time, or listen, if you know somebody who's rich, just slip them my card, because we need to raise $250,000 to bring 50 kids and their families to New York City next summer. And I will not stop until we do, because they deserve to be seen, and they deserve to be heard, and they deserve to be in a space that is inclusive and equitable for them. This work must be a collective, and so we need all of you. And this is why we're not a typical dance convention and competition. I hope you can see that now. I hope you're also like, Geri's cray, and I kind of like it, because it's true. I've embraced that term. What do we have here? Do we have questions? We have comments? I am always ending on time. I am good. Let's open up the floor. What you got for me? Hey, who wants to talk today? Hey. Okay. Okay, cool.
I was gonna say, when you said that Miss D Brown here is your mom,
yes,
I went, because I took lots and lots of notes from just her comments that she shared, I think Tuesday evening when we had the seminar there. So
yes.
Just from the spark that I got from her, and now the spark that we're all seeing from you, it just makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, you're so awesome, Mickey. Thank you for being a part of this and just lending your voice and your movement to our movement. Thank you. Okay, so I actually talked with parents. I got a private message. How do we convince parents of this message? I absolutely love the message of Liberate Artists, but find it's hard to get students because their parents are so resistant. Here's the thing. We have Mia Michaels at our event, Phoenix Fire. We have these big name teachers. We've brought in so many people. We haven't worked with Marty, but Ivan Kumov, Misha Gabriel, all these big name people that are on all these big conventions that you are always going to. We just do it differently. I won't say I'm recording. Okay. But story and Broadway, I'm like, my brains, I'm like, I need to go look at my page right now because we work with so many teachers. But we still have the social media followers. That's just not the main focus of our classes. It's our Liberate Arts traveling faculty. And all of our faculty are going through this training that we're doing with the Dance Education Equity Association. And all of our guest teachers must sign a release form before they come in saying they will meet our standards for equity and inclusivity, or we will not hire you. So if you're coming into our space, you gotta do it like we do it. So every student is treated equally. We do not make students feel bad about their body, the way they present themselves. We do not split up, use terms like masculine and feminine. We use adjectives to describe it instead. Shannon, can you speak on the adjectives that we use?
Absolutely, I would be so happy to. I am a member of the LGBTQIA+ community, and I identify as a cultural lesbian and queer woman. My partner is transgender non-masculine. So that's my background, which is why I certainly don't have all the answers, but here's what I have found. Language is, and this was a lot what I talked about, gendered language is a total construct within our kind of roots of how we communicate with each other.
Oh,
And
sorry.
summary, if you practice removing, oh, everything okay?
It just froze for a minute.
Oh, sorry. Just like muscle memory, if you choose to remove pronouns or gendering language from your vocabulary and lexicon, and you actually begin to say what you mean rather than saying, you know, as educators, but like, that's so gay, is something that I hear a lot of students say. And when you root of that is not that homosexuality is bad, but it is that person has done is something connotatively negative. And
well,
so
and
by
I think I was
removing,
specifically talking about, like, instead of using like masculine, feminine, could we use like a little bit more like
oh,
sassy feel, or a
yes,
a judgy feel, or don't do judgy feel.
yeah,
That's not a good one. But like adjectives instead of,
yes.
sorry, Shan, I didn't
Oh,
mean
no,
to, I should be clear. But more so adjectives instead of terms like, this is feminine, this is masculine. Like, oh, let's be a little bit sassy here. Let's strut a little bit more, or let's be a little bit more,
yeah.
I can't think of
So,
adjectives right now.
That's
But
okay. There's a great organization called Ballets, BALLEZ, that is also doing gender non-conforming ballet work, and looking to them for a language model is going to be very helpful for. And Geri was saying, I'm sorry, I answered the wrong question.
okay. It's okay, Shan.
But being specific adjectives and great to for those new adjectives is actually the Laban technique, Laban, a form of movement exercise in intersection between modern dance as well as theatrical, and using those adjectives rather than we want pulled, willowy, lifted, like those things, then remove language and create inclusive teaching environment.
100%. And the only adjective I can think of today is sassy, and I don't mean that. Like, let's strike that. Let's cut that out of the recorded video. Yes, Michelle Cole, Laban. Shannon and I actually both got our degrees in musical theater. So that's why also this organization is so different, is because our training is based in theater as opposed to specifically dance. And so I think that's why we come from this perspective. Shannon and Amy are both going to be part of the Always Enough Foundation doing this work. And because I am not a queer person, I cannot talk for queer people, which is why, again, when we're saying creating equitable and inclusive spaces for us, we must incorporate people that are different from us, that have different experiences, in order to represent all people. So that's why Shannon is going to be a crucial point. And actually, Amy is Indigenous as well. And so when we say this work matters to us, like, I want to represent and us to keep representing all people. What other questions? It's 12:55, so if you have to leave for a dance class, now is the time. I would love to open up for questions or comments or feelings. Come to Liberate events. Come to Phoenix Fire and Focus. Will I see you? And give me hugs. We'll have so much fun.
Geri, we did
yeah.
have someone ask if you would be willing to share the release form for teachers as an inspiration for language for the studio owners.
Thank you, Amy. Yes, we will definitely do that. It's also part of our Dance Education Equity Association, which will be coming out September 1st. All of you will be receiving, we don't really know exactly if it's going to be like a month. I don't know how we're going to set up the platform, but we want to give you a chance to like experience what that support is like. Because during COVID, I was really surprised that there wasn't like one collective organization that said, this is kind of our how we're going to manage this as dance conventions as a whole. And I was like, if we had an organization that was focused on inclusivity and equity, that had standards that we can all stand by, that was constantly changing, constantly evolving as we continue to be more inclusive, could you imagine how wonderful the world would be? Wonderful. Because we'd all be like, oh, yeah, we don't do this because this is not equitable. We all know this now. We've all learned this together. And when something happens, I have a team to support me. Because why I also brought in Danielle is there's this whole competitiveness between organizations that is so unnecessary. There is enough room at the table for all of us. Why are we always competing with each other? Why are we not supporting each other? Isn't this education? Because the last I checked, I wasn't getting nominated for an Emmy, but I will one day. I will. But that's not what I'm trying to do here right now. Like, this is not a competition for the most views. This is education so we can all treat kids equitable and be inclusive for all. What else do we have? Speak on it. If you want to, we'll snap for you.
Geri,
Hey, Leslie, I think you're breaking up a little bit, my love. Can we have Leslie come back in and come back out? Because I want to hear what you're saying, Leslie. She's going to come back in and come back out. Great. Does anybody else have any feedback that they'd like to share, or what they're feeling, or, you know, what they're having for dinner or lunch? I am really hungry. I think I said Chipotle too much already today. Chipotle.
Oh, sorry. Hi.
Oh, Alyssa, thank you.
Hi. Sorry, I've been like popping in and out of work and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I just want to say thank you so much, Geri, for this opportunity. Mickey had sent this to me, and I just want to say thank you. You're such an inspiration. You've definitely like opened my eyes to things I've never even thought of. And I have my dance degree, so things that I've never been taught or anything like that. I thank you very much. It's been a great week.
Oh, thank you for being here. Snaps for Alyssa. Thank you. I mean, you're a part of our Liberate Artists family now. All of you are. And it's because of you making decisions every day to ensure that your students are in inclusive and equitable communities. That's what's going to make our world a better place in dance education and arts education. So thank you for showing up for yourself and for your students.
I do have a question. Well, I don't even know how to present this question yet,
but
so one of the things, my studio, we're moving to a different location. We've been sharing a space for a very long time, but the new location is like ground level. We don't have to go upstairs. It's handicap accessible. And so one of the classes I want to do, or I've been wanting to do, is a class for ones that have different disabilities. And so like, how do you, because I want them, like, I know I've talked to different ones in our community, like I don't want to just have like a class for that group, or like, how do you make all of that work together? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very new.
No, of course. So Geri Majewski is more of a person who has more information on this. Her whole dance studio, Feel the Beat, is not only dancers that are deaf of heart or hearing, but it's also dancers that have special needs. And so how she explained this to me is that, I think she has one student that has cerebral palsy, and this student takes classes with everyone. They just have an assistant in the class to help them get through the work. So how it starts is meeting the students where we're at, because we're always meeting all of our students where they're at, and then accommodating them to ensure that they can be integrated into the community as a whole. There are some students that doesn't fit for, and they will still need different classes, but the goal is to bring everybody in. So how Geri did it is with this student, they were training on their own to a point where they got into a rhythm. And now the student can be in classes with everyone else because they've developed that work. And this is another great, like, being equitable and inclusive is also a great source of revenue. When you're signaling, hey, we're for all students, then all students will come. So I'm going to connect you with Geri Majewski. She's always looking to partner. She gives out her floor for free. She didn't say that because I think because she just wants people to have it. She's like, I don't care. I just want people to have it so that kids that are deaf and hard of hearing can participate in classes. And all of our educators that we've had this whole time are like that. Like, we just want equity, inclusivity. Liberate Artists gives $500,000 a year. And my accountant's like, literally, where did we find this? I'm like, I don't know. We got to figure it out though, because these kids need access. That's what this is about. Thank you. Fantastic question. Micaiah. Thank you. My dancers mentioned within 5 minutes of their class participation, wow, this is so awesome. Everyone is so positive. Yes. Again, if the dance spaces you are in are not having your kids feel that way, why are you paying to go there? Why are you giving them their dollars? This is not Honey Boo Boo Child. I don't know where I was going with that joke. We don't want to make them holler. We want them to say dance is equitable for all. I don't know if anybody, anyway, just random reference. Okay. Any other comments? Leslie, I'd love for you to come back in if you can.
All right, can you guys hear me a little bit better this time?
Yes.
Okay, no, what I was saying is that I would love to talk to you on more of a personal level, because this is one of the things that I pride myself with my dance company and my dance studio. Over half my kids are part of the LGBTQ community, and I wanted them to have a safe home where they could dance, be themselves, be who they are, and just everybody love each other. And, you know, and I love the fact that I have a very diverse group of kids that feel safe, that they can be who they are, no matter the color of their skin, what ethnicity they are. And this whole week, just being a part of this has been so eye-opening and so amazing that I just want to be more involved with you guys so that I can continue that work continually through my company. Because I think it's amazing. I just realized my video is not even on.
That's okay. We're here with you. We support you wherever you're at.
So, yeah, so, so it's just one of those things. Like, I have an all hip hop company, and we do all things, and I bring in Bollywood and Crump, and I think knowing what the history of urban dance is extremely important. And everybody of all different sizes, races, colors, teach all these beautiful dance styles. And I feel like all my kids have to be exposed to that. And so just knowing about your group, when I just found out about it last week, I had no idea about it. So this whole week has just been incredible. The instructors have been amazing. They've been so sweet and informative. And for me, I want to get more involved with you guys and figure out how I can incorporate y'all's stuff even with my studio stuff with my kids. So that was my whole thing. So thank you so much.
And that's what the Dance Education Equity Association is for. Like, we're here to not only support organizations, but also studios. And I do want to just come on the term urban, because I do know that's the name of your studio. You've been hearing a lot about that recently, the term. How do you feel? How are you feeling with that right now?
Well, for me, I grew up, and I know that there's a lot of different kind of prejudice out there and racism. When I grew up, I was called the white Mexican. We grew up in a really small town. My dad was the only Hispanic man in town. And so me, my sister, and my brother were the only Hispanic children in this town. There was nobody of color whatsoever in this small town. I'm talking a town of like 1,000 people.
Wow.
So my dad was a shock to them. So for me, urban is all things that come from urban countries, urban styles, urban history, all those things that are out there. I think that everybody should be exposed to, because I was always considered an outcast until we moved to Texas. And this was Montana, by the way. I grew up in Montana. So that tells you anything. There was a bunch of hicks and cowboys out there.
Oh.
But so when I moved to Texas, and I think because of that, it's made me who I am. When we moved to Texas, my little brother had never seen a person of color before, had never seen an Asian person before. So he was always curious. And I think growing up, not being exposed to that as a young kid, but knowing I was still an outcast for the color of my skin because of my dad, it was very interesting to me. And so I never wanted other kids when I grew up and I fell in love with dance to feel like that outcast. So I love the fact that all my students are just of every place, like money, you know, some are rich, some are really poor. And I love helping those kids, because I was one of those poor kids growing up where my mom and dad could only afford one dance class a week for me. That's all they could afford. And I didn't care growing up. I said, if I'm a dance teacher, I don't care if a person has talent. If I have to teach them for free, I will. And I do. You know, so I mean, for me, I feel like dance should be a community, which a lot of places, especially, unfortunately, if there's anybody here in Austin that's in this group, anyone that's from Austin knows that Austin is very divided in their dance community. And I don't think we should be that way. I feel like we should support each other in everything. If we are at a competition together, good luck, best of luck. That's how it should be. Not, oh my God, that team's going to win. Oh my God, you know? I don't like any of that. I think that we should all be family because we all have a love of dance that's in our heart. And so we should all be that way together, you know? But that's just me. Some people call me weirdo, but whatever.
So I would like to just say, and take what works for you. I think why you use the term urban is wonderful. What it means to you is wonderful. I would just define that.
Yeah.
I would be very clear and be like, when we say urban, this is what we mean. Because I know there's a connotation with this right now. And this is my history and this is my background. Because we like, change the name of your studio. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be specific in why it's the name. Because your story is beautiful. And it's so important, the work that you're doing. And so we have to be very specific about things, especially now, because we're all kind of like healing from all this past trauma. And it sounds like you are too.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate
you. Oh, no problem.
For being here. Anybody else? Anyone else want to share? Come on, Nikki. You know you want to share.
I've been dancing along with you the whole time. I love it. I have a few questions, and also I just wanted to say before I get into the questions, thank you so much for doing this. I also just kind of found out by accident. You posted in the a Facebook group that has online dance classes, the Dancing with Yourself, and I just happened to see it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I haven't been able to do everything, but I'm looking forward to catching all the recordings and that. But I wanted to ask three things. Do you have any materials, videos, presentations, things that are publicly available that we can share about exactly the kinds of things that we're learning in here? Because it's beautiful that we can learn it in here, but I would love to be able to like point to like, here's this, you should totally check it out. Watch it, it's gonna change your life. Like, I'm very interested to know about that. And then my two other questions are, will you be doing more of these kinds of, whatever this amazing, week of things, because I feel like I want there to be more, and I want to be able to tell more people to do it, and I would like for it to be in existence more so that we can continue sharing. And then I want to be involved with you guys too, and I would love to know how I can be part of what you're doing, or how I can contribute time, and like, how can I be involved with you guys? Because I'm like totally in love with you guys. I've just totally fallen in love with you guys.
Well, thank you. That means so much. First of all, it's snap for Nikki for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I feel like we all have a story that we play like on our violin, and mine is like, I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm not seen, I'm not heard. And I feel like we've been struggling long as an organization doing this work, and we're finally getting to a point where we're being seen and heard like we always saw the kids. So thank you for acknowledging that. It means so much to me because that's my trauma as a Black person. Like, okay, I'm here, can you see me please? Can you see me please? So thank you. To answer your first question, are there videos available? So these videos will all be available. We will also be releasing videos with the Dance Education Equity Association, and more videos specifically about what we do. Once we do this data drop out of compassion to all the dance competition conventions, we're going to be saying, here's a solution, not the solution, because there isn't just one way of doing these, but here's something you can do to help and to create more equitable, inclusive spaces. So that will all be coming out on September 1st, 2020. And then once you guys are all a part of the Dance Education Equity Association, because again, all of you will be able to be part of it. We're still figuring out all the details. You'll also get all the information and access to support in that way. And when we say support, we're going to have trained facilitators to be representatives for each organization that is going to be there to be able to provide resources for your direct needs as an owner, as a dance educator, because this is all individual work. What we've seen with COVID is what you do in New Jersey and what you do in South Dakota cannot be the same. They must be specific to your needs, because we need to meet children at every place that they're at. That means we need to meet studios and educators where they're at. So it's really important to that work. Yes, Shan?
I was also going to say, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, in the immediate, like next 2 weeks or so, I'm going to be putting together outlines and resources for teachers from all of these lectures that will go out to the studio owners. So that way, all of the outlines and actionable steps that I have extracted from every single workshop that we've had, which I'm like thrilled about. I was going in last night. That way you can extract your action steps, and it will be an immediate ability to implement change in your sphere of power. So look for that in the next 2 weeks. And then I think, Geri, you can speak more to the graphic that accompanies that.
Yeah, but I first want to say we've done all of this for free. All of it. It was a lot of work. And so we really, like, when we say we need your support, because we paid all of our dance educators, because I didn't think that was fair for them. I think one person donated their time, everybody else we paid. So I'm doing kind of a call to action, and I've never kind of been so open and honest about that. But in order for this work to continue, like all these people were asking online, oh, we missed it. Are we going to do another free event? Honestly, I don't think we will, because we've had 900 registrants and we've had around 500 people show up. And to me, I'm like, y'all don't, all right, y'all want to create change, but you're not, I hope you're taking actionable steps someplace else. That's what I'm hoping. So we won't be doing this again in this way. We will always be providing assistance for those that need it and ask us always, but we won't be offering any more free events because of that kind of feedback that we got. Just because people don't show up because everything's online. I'm not taking it personally. I'm just like, okay, that's something to learn for next time. But Shannon said, we are going to be giving you you must complete our classes. I'm going to update this because now seeing the classes, we're going to kind of change around what needs to be mandatory and what doesn't need to be mandatory. We're going to release it early next week, followed by Shannon's notes. I don't know if we have to talk about the timeline, so I don't want to kind of be specific here. We'll talk about a timeline, and then we're going to send you like a Google or a Typeform sheet where you must complete your actionable steps. And then we're going to follow up with you in about a month, because this work matters. And it's important for us to just say, hey, did you have a discussion with your students about making sure that, we're treating everybody equally, and what was the feedback you got? Or did you give a survey out to all of your students to figure out what kind of changes need to happen in our community to make sure that it's equitable for all? How did that go? How can we assist you and support you in this work? And then once those actionable steps are completed, you will get an inclusionary certificate for your website to signify that you are a student that's a studio and a teacher that supports all students, for your social media, for everything. And this isn't really the real certificate, because this is just the beginning of the work. This is just the beginning. So this is just something to say, oh yeah, okay, I did these 4 days. This is great, which is great. I'm not throwing shade, it's fantastic. But work is constant, and it must be something that we are constantly doing all the time. And so it needs to be more than 4 days. So that's why we have the Dance Education Equity Association. So this is the beginning, and we will never get to the end. But like I said in my last group, we have the 5 stages of learning, right? First, we don't know, we don't know. Then we know we don't know. Then we kind of know, but we got to think about it. Then we don't think about it, we just do it because of practice, and then we can teach it. And we all want to get to stage 5 where we can teach this kind of work to our students and to our parents and to our communities. Is there anything else that we have here?
Oh, I said, like, how can we be more involved with you was my, like,
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. So join our mailing list. We're going to have volunteer opportunities because we have to raise 250. I keep saying it because I'm like, universe, bring it to us. We want to bring 50 kids to New York next summer and their families. We need to raise with Shannon and Amy $250,000 for the Dance Education Equity Association. Oh, sorry. Always, this is my 5th company. I'm like, so many companies this COVID, but with Always Enough Foundation, this event is possible due to the volunteers. So that is a way. If you know of studios or dancers who would love to attend, please give out our scholarships to them. And if there are families that we are going to support, let them know when our applications are open. Because for the Always Enough Foundation, the applications are going to be geographically specific based on the needs of the demographics in that area. Kristen Coons at Studio B and I actually had a conversation, and she was talking through this on how we're going to do it. But a family that makes $100,000 in Los Angeles and a family that makes $100,000 in Minnesota have 2 different very learning or living conditions. And so we have to be able to evaluate people in a way based on their own demographics. So this application is going to be very extensive and inclusive, and we're going to need volunteers to like spread the word out to as many, so we can reach as many kids that would need our assistance. And then get the other half to be kids that can be like, we can afford this. We're coming through, G. We're going to come to Phoenix Fire and Focus, and our another event that we're going to be launching in 2022. So if you can just constantly, I'll keep you updated. We will give you actionable steps to keep this work going. And I hope to become friends with all of you because I love you all. There's so much love. Thank you for showing up. It means a lot to me. I would teach for free for you to raise money. Oh, thank you so much.
Me too.
So sweet. Thank you. That means a lot. We just want to raise money for these families because it's education. Education is for all. Do you feel like you have actionable steps to move forward? Are there any other ways in which we can support you?
Can I add, but like, along with saying, if you would like to support us, what is the best way for us to be able to, like, is it just conversational with you that we can chat and be like, these are the things we're thinking, and you can guide us and give direction and that kind of thing? Is that the best way to approach that?
Yeah, so as a part of the Dance Education Equity Association, since we've already given the free labor, it would be a package thing. I always try to like give more than what you pay for, because that's just who I am. Like the kids that come to Focus Blaze, we're giving them Broadway show tickets and all of this stuff because I'm like, here, thank you for your support. But it has to be just because of time. So there are going to be different packages set up that we're still working out. And then also always resources that are free, because that's also an access issue. And I never want studio owners or educators that don't have the access not to have opportunity. So we will also be scholarshiping in a lot of folks, specifically people of color and organizations run by people of color, so that we can support them in their efforts to create equitable and inclusive dance organizations in their community. That's a great question. Thank you. I don't have the specifics yet, Nikki, because like literally all this happened a month ago. And this was a month ago. And then now it's like, we have all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to change the world. Okay, we're going to do it, right? Because of you, all of you. And Bethany, you've been on a lot. I know that you're not here. But yeah. And hey, listen, if financially it's not a thing for you, that's fine. We have to pay our team and our people, as you guys do in your studio. So I'm cool with it. Come where you can. We will still try to give as much information away for free as possible, but we still have to pay our teams and things like that. But I get it. No offense. I'm not offended. This was a fantastic free event that we were able to offer with over 8 hours of classes and work per day for the dancers, which is really spectacular. And like we said, we covered all of the costs for those that just came on. For all of our teachers, our educators, we paid them all. And we also guaranteed them work for the next year because they reduced their rate for us. Because it's important for us to also acknowledge the labor of others in order to ensure equity for all. And that's really important to us. Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you again. You were awesome, Nikki. I appreciate you sharing. Kristen, I can't hear you. She's like, I'm driving. I'm like, put it in the text, Kristen. Put it in the text. Don't do that. Oh, you're on the phone. Oh, were you saying something or not? You weren't.
I don't think it's working.
I can hear you.
I don't
now.
know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yay! I'm driving home. Like when we usually talk, I'm always driving home. So I'm driving home right now. I just wanted to speak to what you're bringing up, like with you needing our support. And I just want to speak from experience, like sending students to Phoenix Fire has been one of the most rewarding experiences for those students, those families, and for myself, because in the past, we've gone to events put on by other major companies, and we have felt like the teeniest, tiniest little specks of dust on the carpet. And it was always so disheartening to see my kids work so hard and get literally no recognition for it. So going to Phoenix Fire, you go there, the teachers learn every kid's name. Every kid's name. Geri knows every parent's name. She knows which kid belongs to which parent. It is such a personalized experience that you will never find anywhere else. So if you're wondering, like, how do I promote this to my families? How do I get people to sign up to go there? Like, that's the biggest selling point for me, is that you will not find that anywhere else. With the level of experience and education that they're delivering, you just won't. You will not find that anywhere else. And that's the best selling point, that you can get your kids that go every year to Dancerpalooza. Don't go there. Go to Phoenix Fire, because you will get this, a better level of education and experience, in my opinion, because it's possible to have that more personalized connection and that experience where your kids feel seen, which is, at the end of the day, what do kids want? They want to know that you care about them, that they are cared for, they're loved, they're in a safe space, and you will get that 10 times over at Phoenix Fire. So, because Geri put on this free event, like, we've got this great exposure now for Liberate Artists, and people are learning about it. Go to the event, sell it to your kids. Like, it's so important that we support them.
Thank you so much, Kristen. You're so sweet. I don't know if you were on the talk with them, but when we were first starting out, and I was nervous because as a Black business owner going into a majority white area, I was worried because I didn't know if people would think it was okay. I reached out to every studio in Lafayette, Indiana. Studio B was the only one that responded back to me. I think we had Lauren Furterman the first time, and they were the only ones that got back to us. And ever since then, we've become such family and grown together, and they've supported me throughout everything and become our advocates. And Kristen has come to every Phoenix Fire, every single one. She's been there. And when parents, because I don't have parents all the time, when parents are being parents, I could be like, hey, Kristen, can we talk right now? I love parents. I love you. You know I love you. But Kristen, can we chat right now? Because that's what you, as studio owners and educators, it's much different than with me. And I love being able to have, studio owners and educators there with us and supporting. And we also make it great. I throw Broadway show tickets at Kristen, and with student levels, we try to provide for hotel rooms and just support you too, because we know it's an expense and we want to be able to help support that. So thank you for that, Kristen. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Okay, I think we can wrap it up here. We did go over quite a bit. Thank you guys for your time. If there's anything else you want to say, because I think there's another class coming in shortly.
Yeah, so we actually have, I'll be in the next class as well, but it's 4:25 now. So we have about 35, I can't math. 35-minute break before dance health, doctors for dance, and that's going to be a really valuable conversation about like the longevity of a career and what you can do now to maintain your dancers' holistic health. But that will begin
Also COVID-19 stuff
and,
too. So
and COVID.
you can ask your questions there from her perspective. That's such a great summary, Shannon. Thank you so much for that. We don't have to stay on here this whole time. I do want to answer Kathleen's questions. Phoenix Fire next year is July 22nd to July 28th. And by July, I do mean July, but that's the wrong dates. It's July 25th to July 31st. And we have 3 different programs, Spark, Ignite, and Blaze. Spark is, sorry, I haven't talked about Phoenix Fire in such a long time because of COVID-19. My brain's like really, Spark is 4 days, Ignite is 6 days, and Blaze is 8 days. And it's based on your level of intensity, not your level of dance. Everybody performs in the show. It's just how much you want to be there. Do you want to be in New York City to have half fun, half dance? Do you want to be in New York City just to dance? Or do you want to be in New York City just to like dance a little bit and then go to the Met? So that's kind of how we have our programming set up. That's a great question. Any other questions? Any other comments? Awesome. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say too, for those of you who just want to spread the word about how awesome this event was right now with any sort of small clip, we do have our music video live that a lot of people put a lot of work into, and it's really incredible. So you can show them off that, say this really cool thing happened and these awesome people were a part of it, and they said, this is what we were doing, this is why we were doing it. So if you just want to share that too, I can pull up the YouTube link. Cool.
Oh,
thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, Kathleen. Yes, share it. Yeah, we have a cap on enrollment, Joanne. We only bring in 350 dancers. That's it. That's it. Because being equitable inclusive means that everybody can dance in the same space together too. Safety is a part of our mission statement. Don't judge our website because I haven't really made very many changes due to COVID yet. We haven't really been pushing this because I just don't want families to feel like they have to put their money in this. They should be supporting studios. And I guess that's the last thing I will say. We are a studio first organization, which means you don't come to any of our events before you do your events at your own studio. We've always been like that. We've always, they come to us as a complement to the training that they're getting at their home studio, not as the only training they're getting at their own studio. And it's really important for us to have that relationship with studio owners and with educators, because we know you're the ones that make them the dancers they are. It's not us. And so we set up a lot of things to put that in place. This event in Phoenix Fire and everything, thank you so much for being a part of it. We would not be here without you, and we can't wait to see you at Phoenix Fire Focus in conversation, on social media, anywhere that we can see you and you can find us. Please share so that we can continue this work collectively as a group of educators who are going to make the world and dance more equitable and inclusive for all. Have a wonderful day. We appreciate you. You are seen, you are heard. Take care.